Welcome to Spiritual Dialogues with Father Udon de Castro. We are here at Cariana, Lay Monastic Community. I'm your host, Brother Lodi, and with us is Sister Tachi. Sister?
So, Father, you're going to discuss the Amazon Synod.
We are discussing the Amazon Synod here. So we have been trying to discuss about the confusion of the Catholic Church, and with the coming of the Amazon Synod, they call it the Vatican Synod on the Amazon. This coming October, it's coming October, from October 7 to 26, I think.
That's long.
21 days, I think. I think the confusion will be total. And so we're preparing the people, our listener, for the coming great confusion in which nobody's going to be able to recover. And the point is, when this happens, our suspicion is nobody will even notice that it's happening. Because now the Bishop Synod on the Amazon is beginning to hold meetings already, and many times in secret, because they have really malicious intent in holding this synod on the Amazon. So they're holding it in secret. Except, it's not very secretive because you can see the cars entering the Vatican,
I see,
so on
okay.
like that.
So everybody, people know.
So everybody knows that meetings are being held, but they know it's in secret because nobody's announcing it.
I see.
So we are now discussing the second part of our discussion on the synod, and we are describing the people who are behind it.
Okay.
We have mentioned in the last program that it's natural for the human race that every generation our people are totally ignorant of the Catholic faith because of original sin and because of actual sin. The fact is that parents are supposed to teach their children. But even before the Council of Trent, which is
Way back.
long time ago, and after the Council of Trent, parents were no longer teaching their children because bishops were not teaching
the
the
parents.
parents.
I was going to be pointing at one another. Yeah. It has to come from them, right?
Yeah, it's simply because, precisely because everybody is born with original sin, then they commit actual sin, and they become totally incapable of learning the teachings of the Catholic Church. Though there were great saints during those times, but it's hard to produce saints, and usually saints run out. You run out of saints.
Okay.
And so it's the sinners who remain.
There's
And
more.
it is always the case. There are more sinners than saints. And these sinners are the ones who became the future priests and bishops and cardinals and popes
And parents.
and parents, of course, who are totally ignorant of the teachings of the Catholic Church. And so the role of the bishops and the priests and the cardinals and the pope is to keep on reminding every generation, because every generation is a new generation,
Yes, Father.
is to remind them perfectly the contents of divine revelation.
Yes.
And the Pope knows that. Because every time a Pope is elected, the first thing he does when he leaves that chapel, Sistine Chapel, is to make the Pope's oath of office, wherein he promises, that's just at the time after he leaves the Sistine Chapel, after his election. He goes into a chapel outside and pronounces the vow of the Pope, papal vow, to preserve the contents of divine revelation. To make the vow.
I was just thinking, Father, and divine revelation does not change. So it's not, it's not like
It
you have
never
to study.
change,
It's not something that you have to study every time. Something new. So there's an excuse. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
It's the same.
And St. John says so. The divine revelation closes with St. John.
That's it.
In other words, everything Christ taught can be learned from the scriptures up to St. John. So everything is there. And like I mentioned, that's the job of the Pope, primarily the Pope, the bishops and the priests. Not really the jobs of nuns and laymen and so on like that. So you are at the end of the
End of the line.
yeah. And so what has happened? It's noticeable that even before the Council of Trent, cardinals, bishops, and priests were no longer teaching divine revelation, and therefore parents were not teaching the contents of divine revelation. That's the reason why the Council of Trent was held.
What made them not to teach the divine revelation, which is very, very important for us people?
Like what we said is natural because every generation that's born doesn't have faith, have nothing, have absolutely no knowledge of the teachings of Christ. He has to be taught. In other words, no?
You're not born with it.
Yeah, you're not born with it. Natural law, you're born with it, no? But that's not divine revelation. Divine revelation is something supernatural, not natural. So natural knowledge, man is born with it, but supernatural knowledge, no.
It is acquired or given as a gift.
Well, it is a gift if there are good preachers. That's why that's the job of popes and bishops and priests. And in the history of the Catholic Church, even from the beginning, the popes and the holy bishops and the holy priests were getting less and less and less.
Oh,
And if you look at the history of the Catholic Church, there's always a chapter about the saints. There are many portions in the history of the Catholic Church, like the papacy, the new orders, who are the kings or the queens, so on like that, no? And there is a portion always who were the saints in every century. And you can notice the saints are getting fewer and fewer. By the year 1800, there were hardly any saints, very few. You can count them with one hand. So imagine if there is only enough saints as the number of the fingers of one hand, who would be teaching the people the contents of divine revelation?
if you want to teach people, you got to be a holy person.
Yeah. Because let's say I'm preaching, Brother Lodi, I'm preaching to you.
Yes, Father.
You must be humble, but I must be holy.
The reason why I should be humble because it will make me understand your preaching.
Yeah. So when a holy person preaches to you, you're going to understand what I say.
But the priest today doesn't engage in that kind of discussion, in that kind of teaching.
Well, that's precisely what we're saying. That's why the Amazon Synod is going to come precisely because it's going to be run by bishops and priests and cardinals who know absolutely nothing of the contents of divine revelation.
Yeah.
My
So,
God.
yeah. That's what the one you are going to discuss now, no? This kind of the people who are going to run this synod.
That's what we're going to say now, that the people who are going to be pushing and running this synod on the Amazon are people who do not know divine revelation. And they were noticed already, their presence was noted during Vatican II. Because during Vatican II, they were already organizing to establish a completely new church while abolishing the old Catholic Church established by Christ and the apostles. That was their motive and their plan already, their agenda during Vatican II.
You said they want to build a new church.
A new
aside from
church,
the
yeah.
church that was created by Christ.
And abolish, automatically abolish the church instituted by
How
Christ.
long
yeah.
ago was Vatican II, Father?
1962.
So how many years, how old are they? Must be pretty old already, but they're still at it, huh?
Well,
Or they passed it on?
they always have
Yes, I am. Minions.
heirs, yeah,
Yes.
heirs. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was very big conscious already in Vatican II. And they're the head one. They're now the masters and the leaders of the bishops' synod on Amazon. They're the ones in the head.
The heads have reached
They're
from
still
the
alive.
They're
yeah.
still alive.
They're
huh?
still alive. Well, 1962.
Yeah, my math is bad. But anyway, they're still alive.
They're still
well, I mean,
alive.
if the Pope is not
Yeah.
is old himself, so they must be in that age already.
And they began planning already during
back.
Vatican II.
And they were convinced that they're doing the right thing. And they must be, because it take them years for them to come to
No,
this point.
they knew they were doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, I mean, they knew. Yes,
I
they were
mean-
doing the wrong thing, and they were intent.
Yeah,
I
these
mean-
are evil
Evil,
persons.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So go on, Father.
So they knew they were doing the wrong thing and they were insisting on it.
Okay.
And they knew they were doing the wrong things because during Vatican II, the good cardinals were refuting them and showing them that they were wrong. That's why they couldn't win. At the beginning of Vatican, they couldn't win because the good cardinals were still there.
Yes.
Then, of course, the good cardinals were, of course, the conservative ones who were the oldest among the cardinals.
Yes.
And they're the ones,
Orthodox ones. Yeah.
because they were intelligent, this group, because the first thing they did was to make a new rule,
Okay.
that cardinals and bishops should retire at 70 or
Yes.
75.
Yes. No. But it's supposed to be not retirable, right?
Bishops and cardinals are not supposed to be retirable, yeah.
Okay. So 70.
So they got rid of all the
got rid
good
of the
ones.
good one.
They
Smart.
were retired.
Okay.
Yes.
And of course, the others died because of old age.
So finished.
So slowly, all those who were refuting them began to pass away. They were intentionally retired. Very brilliant move by the forces of evil. They were retired, the good ones. Some of them died. And then the bad ones remained. And the moment Vatican II finished, they began to plan to abolish the Catholic Church established by Christ and to build a new church.
Okay.
That will not bring us to heaven.
No.
A new church that is going to be called still Catholic, and they still call it Catholic because the word Catholic is very famous and very popular, but whose doctrines are not Catholic at all. They will make up the doctrines of the Catholic Church, making sure that it satisfies all the sinners in all the whole world, to satisfy sinners. And so what happened? They keep on doing that, but there are still good people who are refuting it and are fighting it back until they notice some tribes in the Amazon.
Okay.
And these tribes in the Amazon were holding doctrines that can be used by the general plan made by the one world government. This is the one world government, one world religion, which is sponsored by the United Nations. So the doctrines of the United Nations, this Sustainable Development Doctrine, which is very pagan, very communistic, and very anti-Catholic, was adopted by the Vatican. Adopted by the Vatican.
Okay.
And so the
That's very recent. Since then,
Again?
I mean, the people under,
Well, yeah, since after Vatican II.
not Pope John Paul nor Pope Benedict. Obviously, they were
No, these are the
undermining.
only the cardinals.
Cardinals, no?
Yeah, only the
Undermining,
cardinals, yeah.
undermining everything. Okay.
Undermining everything,
Okay.
Until of course Pope Francis came.
Yes.
Because he was the leader of the group.
Uh,
Well, he was not the leader of the group. The leader of the group was actually Martini and so on like that. A Jesuit, and all the Jesuits are on that side,
really?
And they chose Bergoglio because he would obey all of them.
Okay.
I mean, like just Obama, he's
Yes.
very ungifted person, but he would obey all the big shots of America. So they had him elected because he's going to be very obedient to them. So this is based on the pagan practices in the Amazon, which coincide with the teachings of the United Nations on the Sustainable Development Program.
No, you have to explain that.
Oh, it's a communist doctrine,
Yeah.
sustainable
But I
doctrine.
know that they're pro-abortion, at least the United Nations. So all that, everything that's not Catholic.
Everything evil, anti-Catholic is all there in the United Nations.
But the United Nations is not older than the Amazon, so do you think there was a connection somewhere?
No, it just sort of
Coincidental,
coincided,
coincided.
yeah.
Okay.
like for instance, the United Nations doesn't believe in God.
We didn't know that when we were young.
No, they mentioned
we
it
thought
then.
it was such an idol, the United
Well,
Nations.
because that's what the impression they gave.
They gave. Okay.
Well, the Amazon people don't believe in God.
So they agree.
In other words, they believe that the God is the tree, and the plants and the brooks
okay.
and
That's
the
really
rivers
pagan,
and
no,
so
Father?
on.
Come on.
But that's pagan.
Okay.
And the United Nations and the Vatican found it very convenient to adapt to that. Instead of saying there is no God,
They
why
just
don't
put
you
some
just say
the
it's
trees.
the trees and the streams are the God? And so now God, even Pope Francis is preaching that the God is Mother Nature.
Because
Father, I'm sorry, but we have only about 30 seconds to go.
And so there we have the Catholic Church promoting a pagan religion, changing our God from the Blessed Trinity into trees and animals and streams and brooks, and waterfalls. And in fact, the word they use now is God is the Father, the Mother, and the Creator. So that can be nature.
Okay.
And we call the God, according to the Vatican, they call the God Gaia, as we have mentioned before. That's
So
Mother
pagan.
Nature, Mother Nature. So when the Austrians and the German bishops who are in charge of this would say Mass, instead of the crucifix, they have a globe.
They've done it already?
That is their God, the globe.
The world.
So ridiculous. It's not funny.
Yes. Thank you for watching Spiritual Dialogues with Father Don De Castro. Please continue watching so that we will be enlightened of what is happening now in the world, in our church. Thank you very much. See you again.
Hosanna, Hosanna.